How's your life going? Are you poor? What? What are you talking about? I'm worried about you. 3 days had passed since David and his parents left. My mother-in-law contacted me. After returning from a family memorial service at my parents' home, I found that everything except my belongings was gone. Without my knowledge, they had moved out. Worried about me? You said you were working for $8 per hour, right? Who told you that? I wonder why he married such a woman. My son has become an executive. With that remark, everything became clear. David had been lying to his parents. He struggled with the disparity between us and had asked to keep it a secret from his parents. It felt like a betrayal of the grace I had shown. Who did they think I was staying silent for? You really don't understand anything, do you? Ha! That just sounds like an excuse. It's not an excuse. Originally, it was David who worked for $8 per hour, and I was the one who became an executive. All this time, we've been living off my executive salary. If you want to live with us, I can hire you as a housemaid. Are you serious? Of course. If you decide to work as our housemaid, I might even tell you the address. I couldn't imagine choosing to live with them. That's when I began my counterattack. I refuse. The $8 per hour story is about your son. I choose divorce over enduring that any longer. Stop joking. My son can't be earning such a low wage. Have you gone mad? Through the phone, I could hear my mother-in-law laughing loudly. If you don't believe it, suit yourself. You'll find out who's right soon enough. Or why don't you ask your son directly? What an unpleasant woman. I thought I help you, but I've changed my mind. That's exactly what I want. My mother-in-law seemed angry as she hung up the phone. Soon after, I received a call from David. He must have been questioned by his mother. Naturally, I decided to ignore it. I even set up call blocking. He must be panicking. I decided to enjoy a free life on my own. As a result, David and his family will face difficulties. My name is Lucy. I'm an executive at the company my late father left behind. I have 2 brothers, each holding the positions of president and vice president. Originally, I was working in a different field. That's when I met David, my current husband. It started with a drinking party I was invited to by a friend. What do you do for work, Lucy? Oh, just a mundane office job. And you, David? I'm in sales. Sales? That's impressive. I'm not good at speaking, so I admire that. Really? Thank you. Thinking back, David may have had a tendency to exaggerate even then. At that time, I believed he really was in sales. However, as our conversation flowed pretty well, we exchanged contact information. After regular dating, we both felt comfortable with each other and smoothly moved towards marriage. I've been thinking of meeting your parents soon. Yes, we should do that. How about next Sunday? That's fine, no problem. David had told me his parents were welcoming and gentle. However, upon visiting, it was entirely different. Far from being welcomed, I felt an atmosphere of wanting me to leave immediately. My mother-in-law's attitude was especially bad. Lucy, you work in an office, right? Yes, that's correct. How much do you earn? What do you mean? Don't be silly. I'm asking about your salary. I understood what she meant without needing to be told. What I wanted to know was why she was asking such questions. She was clearly looking down on me. I hoped that David would help me, but he seemed indifferent. He should have at least shown some concern, yet he remained silent. Just calm down a bit. Money can be earned later. These things should be clarified early on. My in-laws continued to argue in front of me. It made me wonder what I was even doing there. I doubted if there was any point in coming. Eventually, my mother-in-law acquiesced, following my father-in-law's lead. And on the way home, why didn't you say anything back there? Huh? Don't just say huh. David seemed not to understand what I was talking about. I sighed involuntarily. I began to feel anxious about how we could continue as a couple in this state. Sorry. I just get nervous in front of my parents. He looked like a scolded puppy. Pitiful. Seeing his face made me feel as if I was the one doing something wrong if I said more. 3 days later, we submitted our marriage registration. After marrying, we hardly interacted with my in-laws and lived a peaceful everyday life. Then, I got a call from my parents. There's something important to discuss. Can you come back home? It was a sudden call. That's fine, but what's up? It's a bit difficult to discuss over the phone. Really? Okay, I'll come over later then. And so, I decided to visit them. My mother and brothers lived together at our family home. I'm back. We've been waiting. Please, have a seat. Sure, that's fine. I sat down facing my brothers. The atmosphere was filled with a unique tension. Unable to bear it, I asked my brother what this was about. You know, we've taken over Dad's business, right? My brother said, Yes, I understand that. You've explained it before, I replied. We want to add you to the management team and have you work in our company. What? Why this sudden development? I was surprised. Then my younger brother began to explain. Lucy, you've always been observant of others, right? I was taken aback and argued, Wait, what are you talking about? Actually, recently someone we trusted ran off with our money. Really? I was shocked. Yes, it's true. This person had been associated with us since Dad was alive. He was an executive, but now there's a vacancy. I couldn't accept this sudden turn of events right away. I can't just agree to this right away. I hesitated, and then my mother spoke. Lucy, it's a lot to ask, but can you help us? Mom, are you okay to be up? I asked. She had been unwell and resting a lot for the past year. I'm feeling better today, don't worry. But is this request too much? She inquired. It's sudden. I need some time to think. I couldn't make a decision that day and returned to my own home. Feeling lost on how to respond to my mother's request, I decided to discuss it with David. Wow, that's great. You should definitely accept it, he said, clearly thrilled. Are you sure? Well, it could mean a better salary than what you have now, right? We haven't discussed the details yet. I support your brother's proposal. It seemed there was a special reason behind his enthusiastic support. A week after our discussion, I received another call from home. Please come back home immediately. What's happened? It's Mom. I left work early and rushed back home. Upon arrival, many people had already gathered. In the midst of them, my mother was lying there. I can't believe it. It was too sudden, and I couldn't grasp a reality. It was unexpected. According to my eldest brother, our mother had already passed away when he woke up in the morning. I couldn't even see her face. All I could do was stand there, stunned. Lucy, where is David? Oh, right. I haven't contacted him yet. I'll call him right now. I hurriedly made the call, but there was no response from David. After several attempts and no response, I reluctantly left a message on his voicemail. I need you to come immediately. There's something important, I said urgently. As time slowly passed, about 2 hours later, David finally arrived at my family home. Sorry for being late. I was really busy with work today. Couldn't find the time, he said lightly, apologizing. However, seeing David's demeanor, his expression carried an inexplicable lightness, and I felt a surge of irritation and anger. Why do you look so happy? Don't you realize my mom has passed away? I asked. No, it's not like that, David replied, but his voice lacked conviction. Anyway, I just want some peace right now, I told him, but he laughed it off, saying, Don't worry, it's all going to be okay. Visitors kept coming to the house, and we were busy attending to them. As time went on, I noticed it was already past midnight. Exhausted, I slumped onto the sofa to rest. Then, David suddenly brought up an unbelievable topic. He, with a smile, started talking about dividing the inheritance. So, what about the inheritance? Do you get anything? He asked nonchalantly. I was shocked and confused by his question. Why would you ask that all of a sudden? Don't you understand the situation? I responded, Well, your father was managing a company, so there might be a significant inheritance, right? David continued, but I was filled with sorrow and anger. Stop it. Talking about inheritance at a time like this is just too insensitive. I raised my voice. But this is important. We have to think about the future, he said, but his words didn't resonate with me. If all you want to talk about is money, you can leave, I retorted. I was stunned by David's thoughtless attitude, pained by the disconnect in his perception amidst the heavy atmosphere of losing a family member. The air between David and me felt completely different from before. Sitting on the sofa, I was deep in thought about how to overcome the challenges ahead, weighed down by profound grief. Okay, I understand, David replied and then really left. I couldn't believe I had to be so direct. As David left, my eldest brother entered the room. Is there a problem? He asked. Yeah, a little. It's tough for you two. It's unimaginable to talk about inheritance in this situation. Usually, such a topic wouldn't come up. Actually, I told him about you inviting me to join the company, and he was very enthusiastic about it. Maybe he has a strong fixation on money. There might be something to it. That might be true. I pondered. My brother reassured me, don't worry about us, and urged me to return to my home. Later, I attempted to call David, but he did not respond. So, I decided to contact David's parents. Lucy, we heard from David. What happened to your mother is truly unfortunate. Did he tell you anything else? Yes, he said you were trying to handle the inheritance by yourself. My mother-in-law claimed. What? No, that's not true at all. We haven't even discussed such a thing. Really? Are you hiding something? The conversation with my mother-in-law was not productive. Anyway, now is not the time for such discussions. You're quite cheeky, aren't you? I'll take that as a compliment, I replied. Then, my mother-in-law abruptly hung up the phone, unable to bear it any longer. She seemed quite angry, but it wasn't very important to me. When I got home, David was nowhere to be found that day. The next day, I confronted him. Where on earth were you? Does it matter where I was? I see. Our relationship was deteriorating day by day. A week passed with hardly any conversation. My brothers took care of the funeral arrangements for our mother. The funeral went smoothly, but David and his parents were nowhere to be seen. Amidst this, I made a decision. Brother, I'll help out with the business. Really? Are you sure that's okay? You can take more time to think about it. We were a bit hasty last time and didn't consider your situation enough. Thank you. But I've made up my mind. I'll be fine. Thus, I started my new career as an executive in my brother's company. After debating whether to tell David, I decided it was better to be honest than to keep it a secret and face problems later. I'll be busy with my duties as a director from now on. Really? Then work hard for my sake too. Of course, I will, I replied. I resigned from my job and decided to switch to my brother's company. The new job was challenging and tiring, but I found it fulfilling. 6 months later, David said something unexpected. Actually, I quit my job. What? Why so suddenly? The last job just wasn't right for me. Weren't you in sales? Sales? No, I was working in a factory. What, really? I was speechless with this shocking revelation. All this time, I thought he was in sales, but he wasn't. So, he had been lying to me since we met. You've been lying all this time. Lying about what? Forget it. It doesn't matter anymore. What are you talking about? David asked. I regretted marrying someone like him. What are you planning to do now? You don't have a job, do you? It's fine, you're here. You're a director, right? You must be earning a good salary, David said. Finally, I understood. David had become complacent about working. So, you were after my money. Stop talking as if I did something wrong. Besides, it's better to keep the director position a secret from my family, right? That's true. And starting next month, I have to start sending money to my family. I need your help with that. Wait, this is the first I'm hearing about this. I just decided to do it recently. Indeed, it would be troublesome if my in-laws found out, but I couldn't just accept this. But if it gets out, you'll be in trouble too, right? Ah, David said, surprised. You know, if they find out you're unemployed, they'll be angry too, right? So, you need to find some work too. What do you mean? It's a trade-off. This way, both our secrets are safe, right? That makes sense. So, we agree on this then. Alright, I don't want to worry my parents, so please help me. David reluctantly agreed. However, I had no intention of continuing this situation indefinitely. Afterward, David started a part-time job as per my suggestion, but he was only earning a meager $8 per hour. He wasn't working full-time, and his lifestyle was more akin to that of a free-spirited student. Moreover, he was spending his earnings on gambling. Why don't you go out sometimes? It's not good to always stay at home. Well, don't worry about me. Let me live as I please. Eventually, David seemed to forget the secret we were hiding. From that time, he became increasingly unmanageable. Despite being only a part-timer, he started coming home late and going out more often. Lately, you're coming home late. Is something going on? I asked. Well, there's been more overtime, David replied. But didn't you choose that job because there was no overtime? That was the case, but things have changed. And what about going out when there's no work? I probed further. I need to exercise outside sometimes, he responded, but I questioned. But why do you need to dress up for that? I felt doubtful about David's changes and kept questioning him. At first, he appeared composed, but he couldn't hide his confusion under my questioning. I can't answer everything all at once. Give me some time to think. I don't think the questions are that difficult. Just because you're an executive, are you looking down on me? Why would you think that? If you want to belittle me, go ahead. Wait, where are you going? Anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's none of your business. With those words, David left the house. How self-centered can a person be? In the end, he didn't return until morning, and when he did come home, he immediately fell asleep without saying a word. I left for work when it was time. Upon arriving at the office, my eldest brother approached me. What's wrong? You look so down. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's about your husband, isn't it? Yes, it is. We'll talk later. Then, I joined my second brother, and the three of us had a conversation. I explained everything that had happened. You've endured a lot in such a situation. I would have divorced him immediately. I know I need to change the current situation, but do you have any plans? A little. The doubts about David's behavior were growing, but I still hoped he would return to the man he once was. I couldn't bring myself to completely give up on him, but I was soon made to realize that my hope was naive. If that's the case, you should resolve the issues sooner rather than later. Yes, you're right. This isn't advice, but there must be a reason behind his actions. It would be good to find out what that is first. Thank you. I'll do just that. I followed my brother's advice and decided to investigate David's behavior. Since I had no idea what he was doing while I was away at work, I asked my second brother to set up a small camera. Be careful, it would be a problem if it's discovered. Choose the installation spot wisely. Understood, thank you. You can view the recorded footage on your smartphone anytime. That's helpful. I'm not great with technical stuff. While David was out, I installed cameras in the living room and bedroom. I became so anxious about what the cameras might capture that I couldn't sleep at night. Then, I received a call from my mother-in-law. Despite suspecting it wasn't good news, I answered. Lucy, is it true you quit your job? What? I don't recall quitting my job. Really? David said you did. No, I'm still working. Well, it's none of my business. But be sure to thank David. Wait a minute. I raised my voice involuntarily. I couldn't believe David told her such a baseless story. I wished he would come home soon. Unaware of my feelings, David returned home smiling. I hit the jackpot at the casino today. Here's a souvenir, he said, handing me a bag full of prizes. What's this? I asked. It's a gift, he replied. The gift wasn't important. By the way, I got a call from your mother earlier. From Mom? What did she say? David asked. Apparently, I've quit my job. Oh, that. I got a bit carried away. I was told I should be grateful. Don't say unnecessary things from now on. I told him. Got it? I'll be careful. If something like this happens again, you understand, right? I warned him. Yeah. Don't be so harsh on me, he replied. That depends on your actions. After that, David seemed to behave more quietly for a while. He appeared to be working hard and going out less. Then, an opportunity arose to visit my family home. I'm heading back to my parents' place for a bit. I plan to return in 2 days. Okay, take care. Have fun. I'm not going for fun. My bad. Isn't it time for you to leave? All right, I'm counting on you to take care of things here. He seemed oddly cheerful. Leaving him alone made me uneasy, but I was busy with the first anniversary of my mother's death. At home, my brothers warmly welcomed me. Thanks for making the effort to come. It's natural for me to come for Mom's first anniversary. By the way, how's the camera situation going? The camera thing? Yeah, that high-tech camera we talked about. Oh, the one I asked to keep an eye on David? Exactly. Did you forget? Yeah, I've been so busy with other things that I completely forgot about it. My mind had been preoccupied with daily tasks and interactions with my mother-in-law, so keeping an eye on David had slipped my mind. I'll check it when I get home. You can see it right now on your smartphone. That's right. I forgot I could do that. Make sure you remember. Following my brother's suggestion, I searched for past footage on my smartphone. The screen showed David getting ready to go out. Checking the date of the video, it was from about a week ago. Interesting. Did you find something? Yes, look at this. What is it? I decided to show my brothers a video I had recorded earlier. The video not only showed the image but also perfectly captured the audio. On the screen, David was speaking on the phone with another woman, and they were making plans to meet soon. Furthermore, it was clear from their conversation that they were exchanging words of love. These facts could serve as clear evidence of David's infidelity. This is undeniable proof of cheating. I thought to myself, my anger was indescribable. How could this happen? I can't believe it. I murmured to myself. Feeling such a complex mix of emotions, I muttered, he's a terrible person. You couldn't see David's true nature, my eldest brother joked, prompting me to glare at him. It's just a joke. Don't glare at me like that. After successfully completing my mother's first anniversary, I rushed back home. I tried contacting David several times, but there was no response. When I arrived home, everything except my belongings was gone. I was speechless. What have they done? Frustrated, I tried contacting my in-laws, but there was no response from them either. Looking around, I noticed the camera I had installed was still in place. Maybe this will give me some insight, I thought, and immediately checked the footage. On the screen, David and his parents were visible, and their conversation was clearly audible. That should be enough. I wonder what face she'll make when she gets back? Let's go. We have no more business here. Yes, let's do that. Hearing this conversation, I hurried to my in-laws' house, suspecting something. It was a 40-minute train ride away. Though I had an ominous feeling, I was shocked to see the state of my in-laws' house then. The house had already been sold. Standing there, a neighbor approached me. The people from that house moved out a few days ago. Do you know where they moved to? I don't know the details, but they said they were going to live with their son and seemed happy about it. I see, thank you. From that moment, I vowed to seek revenge. Returning home, I planned my next steps, but I had no idea where David and his parents were and couldn't contact them. The situation was at a standstill, and it had been 3 days since they disappeared. Enjoying your poor lifestyle? Poor? What do you mean? I asked. I'm worried about you, came a call from my mother-in-law out of the blue. Worried that I'm working for an hourly wage of $8? I questioned. Yes, David said so. I wonder why he married such a woman. He's achieved so much more. My mother-in-law said. He said that too. I murmured. Everything clicked into place. David had been deceiving his parents. He struggled with the financial disparity between us, asking me to keep it a secret from his parents, but it had backfired. It felt like gratitude had turned into resentment. I questioned myself why I had stayed silent. Your understanding of the situation seems lacking, Mother. What? The one who doesn't understand is you. Do you believe everything David says is correct? As a mother, it's natural to believe in my son. That's truly regrettable. That's just an excuse. But it wasn't an excuse. In reality, it was David who was working for an hourly wage of $8 while I held an executive position. Our life was supported by my executive salary. Yet, believing her son's lies, my mother-in-law said, "If you want to live with us, I can hire you as a housemaid. Are you serious about that?" Of course, I'm serious. If you agree to work as a housemaid, I don't mind giving you the address. I needed to make it clear that I had no intention of living with them. I absolutely refuse. The one who works for $8 per hour is David, not me. I've endured this long enough, and now I'm considering divorce. That's absurd. Stop joking. Have you gone mad? I could hear her laughing through the phone. Time will tell who is right. Why don't you confirm with David? I'm at my limit with you. I thought about helping you, but not anymore. That's exactly what I want. After she hung up in anger, David contacted me within a few minutes. He must have been questioned by his mother. Naturally, I decided not to respond to David's calls and set them to be blocked. He must be panicking. I planned to enjoy a life of freedom on my own. This decision would likely lead to a harsh outcome for David and his family. The next day, I decided to move out. Even if David and his family returned, I would no longer be there, just returning the treatment I received. I discussed the situation with my brothers and immediately visited a nearby real estate agent. I was looking for a place to move into as soon as possible. There's a property available for immediate occupancy, but the rent is a bit high. That's not a problem. I'll take that property. Understood. Let's proceed with the paperwork. I completed the contract that day and contacted a moving company. Fortunately, since it was only my belongings, the move was completed quickly. After that, I relaxed in my new home, enjoying the life of living alone. 2 weeks later, I noticed many missed calls from my mother-in-law on my smartphone. David was already blocked, so I was only receiving calls from my mother-in-law. I decided to answer, even though it was a bit of a hassle. But when I picked up, it wasn't my mother-in-law but David. "Where are you?" "I can't get into the house. I've moved out." "Moved? Why?" "Why? You started it, didn't you?" "So I did the same." "Wait, what about our life together? You shouldn't have lied in the first place." "It's not my problem. But also, I'm considering a divorce." "I'll send the papers, so give me your new address." Then David started laughing. "Right? You don't know my new address. So, no divorce then." I had anticipated such a response, but I'm not one to give up easily. I may not know the address, but I won't give up on the divorce. I can find it out with some investigation. Wait a minute. It's unreasonable for us to split up. It's not unreasonable. You should tell the truth to your parents. It might lighten your heart. Fine. I'll talk to them. I can't trust your words anymore. Goodbye. After ending the call, I immediately headed to a lawyer's office. I decided to consult with the company's legal advisor, as suggested by my brother. After explaining the situation and showing the footage recorded by the camera, he agreed to take on my case. He promptly began preparing for the divorce proceedings. A few days later, I left a message on my mother-in-law's phone. Then, 7 days later, David and his family showed up at the agreed place. "Thanks for coming. Let's begin the proceedings." "Yes, that's why we're here." Resorting to hiring a lawyer, you must be desperate, my mother-in-law said with a laugh, but David's face had turned pale. In the end, it turned out that David had not yet told his parents the truth, but that worked in my favor. Firstly, due to David's infidelity, I will be filing for divorce and seeking compensation. What are you talking about? Please have a look at this. I showed David and his parents the footage recorded by the camera. This is the evidence. If you have any objections, please speak up. David remained silent. David, what is this about? Explain yourself. Well, actually. Then, I presented documents regarding the claim for compensation. The documents detailed the lack of contribution to household expenses, insufficient cooperation in housework, lies to his parents, and the emotional distress caused to me. What is this? It's absolutely false. This is unacceptable. Even my normally quiet father-in-law seemed unable to contain his dismay. While I wasn't particularly interested in his reaction, I was ready to deal with him if he became an adversary. Then, please have a look at this. I handed his parents my business card. What's this? Let me see. They scrutinized the card closely. This is the reality. The truth David has been hiding all along. What about the story of earning $8 per hour? That was about David. In reality, I've been supporting our household. David waging his earnings for gambling. Hearing this, his parents turned their anger towards David. So, all the living expenses were covered by. Yes, I've been shouldering them. David, why would you lie like this? We were mistaken. It's too late now. Why did you do this? I just didn't want to worry you both. It was like a family argument. I had no more expectations from them. Please have your family quarrel elsewhere. I don't have time for this. With that, my in-laws suddenly changed their demeanor, showing an apologetic attitude. Lucy, please forgive us. We're victims in this too. Mother's right. We never hated you, Lucy. Even so, my decision won't change. Their apologies at this timing felt pathetically insincere. David remained silent, looking down. Could you sign this divorce paper? What is this? I want to end this situation quickly. You have no right to object. All right, I understand. David signed the divorce papers, holding back tears. After confirming his signature, I decided to leave the room. Goodbye, then. As I walked away, I could hear David and his parents arguing outside. Their future was uncertain, but a stable life seemed unlikely. They had managed to get by only because of my support. What an incredibly thoughtless family. Later, I submitted the divorce papers through my lawyer. Finally, I gained my freedom. Is the divorce finalized? Yes, you must already know, right? Our company lawyer is always well informed. But at least now I can relax. I can focus on work. My eldest brother said this lightly, but according to my second brother, he had been quite worried about me. It might be his way of hiding his concern. I've heard about David and his family's current situation through the lawyer. So it ended up like that. Apparently, David's mistress also disappeared after learning the truth. Naturally, I made sure to demand compensation. Then, I got a call from my mother-in-law. There's something I want to ask, she said. Given the circumstances, her request was obvious. Are you asking for financial support? Yes. We can't make ends meet. The problem started with David, you know? With 3 of you, you should manage. Don't say that. Can't you help us? I have no reason to help you. You should go to hell. That's what I should be saying to you. Goodbye. Currently, David and his parents are living in a cramped space. They had relied on the income they thought David was earning, not working themselves. In reality, that money had been coming from me. Now, I'm living freely on my own, unbound by anyone. Work is going well, and every day is fulfilling. Today, as I look up at the clear sky, I'm on my way to work.